My name's Jay Seabrook. I'm a co-founder with Enriched Academy, and really excited to deliver this training here today with you. And Margaret, did you have anything like? Did you want to go through some of the first pieces here
You
with me?
know,
Yep.
no, I usually, when I attend one of your briefings, I let you talk, and when there are questions, I put my input there at the very end.
Awesome. Well, hey, just for everybody, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna spend a bunch of time going through mortgages in the home buying process. Really excited to train that and go through that with you. For some of you, you might be newer to that process. Some of you already own a house, that kind of thing. Myself, just to give you my background, I've been a real estate investor for 20 years. Over the last 20 years, I've purchased 13 different properties. I still hold 9 different properties. So actually an active real estate investor, but I also recall very well how intimidating real estate investing was back when I started years ago, and it seems like the scariest thing going when you're first approaching buying a house. So what we want to do today is to show you what you really need to do in order to start investing in property, or even is buying a property a good move for you right now. We're going to even look at that kind of thing. So now we work really closely in Enriched Academy. We've been teaching financial education for about 20 years to Canadians. This is all that we do. We love it. We try to make this stuff as easy and accessible as possible. We get to work very closely with SISIP, and we're really grateful for the relationship with SISIP. And you can see SISIP's mission statement here, but it's to contribute to the operational readiness of Canadian Armed Forces by providing tailored advice and solutions that enhance the financial wellness and security for members in the CAF community. Our mission statement is very similar. Like we basically try at Enriched Academy, we try to get people to a point where they're comfortable with their money, and a point where they can financially retire basically as fast in life as possible. Like, so how do you do that? So that's what we do for a living. And the reason we aligned with SISIP is because we're just so alike, and except that SISIP has a complete focus on helping the CAF community. SISIP Financial, when it comes to financial wellness, our health and security for every member of the community. And again, we address the mission statement. But with SISIP Financial, and again, we're going to get into the training here shortly, but we did want to cover these important points with you first. But SISIP Financial, you have a team of financial advisors that really knows you, right? That understands your challenges, and completely focused on other CAP members. So can really do a great job tailoring and working with you on insurance, different needs, financial planning, saving, investing, even just counseling or help, like to get you from where you are right now to where you want to go when it comes to your money. So they're experts at that. Make sure you utilize them. We'll talk at the end about how you can actually book a meeting with them. But let's get into the training, and that's really why we're here. Let's get into some really good material, and let's get started. So what we're going to look at today is an analysis of renting versus buying. Is it even a good move for you to buy real estate? Let's even consider that. So we're going to look at how the home buying process works. Like, so if and when, or like you get to that point, you're ready to do this, and some of you might be ready right now, and that's why you signed up for this. What do you need to know about purchasing a home? Because it seems like this mountain you need to climb before you do it. We're going to talk a little bit about mortgage brokers because they're a really good resource in this process, and then how to get into your own home or rental property sooner. So I do have a question for the group, and let me just open the chat. And I just would love it if you would answer this question, and you can just type it. You should see the chat there in Teams where you can do this. But my question to you is this: have you purchased a property before? I'm just looking at the chat right here. So my question to you, and love your response, is have you purchased a rental property before? Okay, perfect. I have a yes. I have a no. Samuel, Renslack, no. Wayne, yes. Mortimer, yes. I got some yeses and some nos. Margaret, yes. My own home previously, current, a couple investment properties. Oh, cool. So Stoli, very awesome about the investment properties. We do have other resources for you as like if you're someone that's buying more and more properties, love that. Very cool. And we'll show you where to get some resources from us for that to help. Currently renting. Okay, cool. Great. So just that helps me get a feel for the group. Now let's dive into this. And just wanted first of all just to talk about what a weird real estate market has been since COVID. And this chart, if you've never seen a chart like this before, don't worry about it. I just wanted to kind of show you the swings. Like this black line here, going back to 2007, it shows you the average amount of sales that happen. And you can see these like where there's the red line goes above the black line. That's when the market's hotter. And you can see what happened during COVID where the market turned off and then it turned on. And we all know this, the market went nuts. And then it's been below normal lately. So it's been interesting, right? Because it's actually been pushing down property values. It hasn't been a great time necessarily to go out and buy if you don't have to, right? Like personally, I'm someone that's still an active real estate investor. Right this second, I'm not trying to pull the trigger on another property, partly because I'm timing, there's a bit of timing when it comes to real estate for sure. Sometimes you gotta buy or you gotta sell, I get that. But it has been a bit of a weird market, and this is what's gone on with prices more recently, right? So your average house across Canada, most recent data available, is 730,000. If you look at it historically, that 5 year, that's showing you how much home values have gone up over 5 years, and that's pretty normal in going back in Canada. Now, it's different depending on where you live in a major way. Like you can see, you could buy, this is across Canada, your average price on the most recent data. So if you're in BC, it's tough for sure, depending on the market especially. But you look at versus New Brunswick, where it's quite a lot more affordable. That's how much the average house is in New Brunswick. Now, what's interesting is this, I like pulling this each time I do one of these trainings, is like if I was to ask, and actually I'll ask the group because you can answer me right now, but how many houses across Canada that are a standalone house do you think are for sale right now for $100,000 or less? So not condos. How many houses are for sale for $100,000 or less across the country right now? Does anyone want to guess? I would not have a clue, by the way, if I didn't already know the answer. Wayne says 0. That's probably what I would have guessed. Quinn says 2. Okay, anybody else? 200. That's Joanne. Thanks, Joanne. Thanks, Quinn. Thanks, Wayne. Okay. So I'll share 1,000. People are going up now. Okay. 1,000's close, actually, Sam. Less than 2%. Yeah, if you put it in a percentage, it's probably way less than 2%, actually. So right now in Canada, you can see a lot of them are on the East Coast, but you have 1,215 listings for detached houses. So there'd be a lot more if we looked at condos and that kind of thing, but you got 1,200 across Canada. And now a lot of them are in the East Coast, but look at some of these houses. Now, I'm not saying you can move there. I get it. You're stuck where you are. Like we're stationed, right? So fully understand that. But I just wanted to show you the variation of the real estate market. And as an investor, because I know some of you are either investors or maybe you thought, hey, maybe I want to be a real estate investor. Just know that you're not restricted to where you live if you're a real estate investor, right? Like myself, as an example, I live in Kelowna, BC, but most of my rental properties are in Ontario, and I just have a good property manager, right? So you can be creative with how you would look at real estate investing. Now, if you look back in time, this is the average home price across Canada, right? And it's back in 1980, you could buy the average house for $66,000. Now, when you look at this, in my mind, I would say, wow, real estate values have gone up really, really, really fast, and they have, but it's averaged about 6% per year, right? So just thinking about it as an investment for a second and not just somewhere to live, if you look at money that's just tied up in a checking account, right, that's sitting there, and you're not getting a return on it, there's no growth rate, this is what it would have grown to over a 100-year period, right? In that just sitting in a checking account. I think you know where I'm going with this. It wouldn't have grown at all, right? Actually, you'd owe the bank money because of the fees you get charged. Probably it'd be zero minus something. Now, if it's sitting in a savings account, the money over a 100-year period would have grown to $443. And the challenge is, again, like you have inflation that's eating away at the value of money that's just sitting in these things because inflation's higher than these rates here. Now, bonds, you're beating inflation by usually a couple of percent. So if you had $100 sitting there, it would have gone to 13,000. Real estate would look like this, okay? So $100 just tied up in any real estate, but that's not rental real estate. Stocks, it would look like this. Sorry, let me just go a screen further. So 8%, that's your average stock market return. Your $100 over that period invested sitting there would have grown to 219,000. But if you rent part of real estate out, you get at least, like, again, someone that's been doing this for a long time, most of my properties are 15% or higher. But let's use 10%, and you can see what that money would have grown to. So again, I'm a believer in real estate investing, but I also understand there's a flip argument, right? And that's like, is it better to rent? And for a lot of people, depending on how long you're going to live somewhere, and if you're being stationed and that kind of thing, renting is a good move. But what we did is we actually built a tool, and we made it as easy as we can. It's still a little bit like you're going to have to kind of work with it, but it looks like this. I'm going to show you where to download this at the end of the training here today. But you can see where you can basically enter the variables of buying a house. And on the right, you can put in what it looks like just to rent. So you can put your numbers in here, right? And usually what's going to make and it's going to help you understand, should I buy or should I rent, right? If you're going to actually live in the property, right? Not just hold it as a rental property. So yeah, check this tool out. I'll show you where to get it, but it kind of factors in everything. And you can see like whether or not it's going to make sense for you to buy or rent where you are right now. But just put your numbers in. And if you hover your mouse over, see where these red triangles? When you open the tool, you're going to download it, so it's on your computer. But it will tell you what each of these things mean if some of it doesn't make sense. Okay, so it's a really good tool. I'll show you where to get it at the end. Does renting or buying make sense for you? Now, let's assume that you're ready you're interested to start looking at buying. I'm going to walk you through the steps. All right, and the very first step is this, and this is a big step, but it's also what stops most people from buying a house. So that's why we want to start with this. And this is your foundation to buying a house. It's having the down payment. But I'm going to walk you through all the steps today to give you what you need to know to get started. All right, for those of you that haven't. Okay, so the down payment, what does that even mean? I know some of you have an idea what it means, but a lot of you do know, but let's walk through it. So traditionally in Canada, if you're buying a house or a condo or whatever else, and you usually need, or like what's most common is to put 20% down payment or more, right? Now on a $500,000 house, that's $100,000. That means you're going to get a mortgage, like the bank will give you the rest of the money for that house to buy it. All right. Now, just know that a lot of people use this avenue, including myself. When I first bought my first property, I was 23. I did not have 20% down. It was a lot of cash, right? It always has been hard to buy your first house. Now, 5%, like what you can do in Canada, is you use a program called like a mortgage insurer, is what it's called. CMHC is one. SAGN is another one. They'll basically give you, if you come up with 5%, they'll give you the rest of the money. They'll give you the other 15%, and basically they'll help you get that. So they'll basically back up that you're going to pay on time, and they'll be there as an assurance, like for the lender, that you're a good risk. All right. So now you pay for that service. So if you only use 5% down, though, it's a lot easier to buy a house. Like you need now 25 grand for a $500,000 house. That some of that fee will go onto the mortgage. So that's what it's going to look like. Now, this is just a key question, and you don't need to answer this right now. But do you have a firm goal of when you're going to buy your first house? Or for some of you, when are you going to buy that rental property, right? That you already own a house? Because I know about half of you do. So we created this sheet, and this sheet is really just where you can start to visualize this for yourself. And the key with this is just getting clear on what it's going to take for you to actually get that down payment saved in order to buy that house. All right. So you can run these questions for yourself, but let's say you're 30 years old or sorry, let's say you want to buy a property in 5 years and you're 30 by age 30 and you're 25 right now. You know that's 5 years from now. These are all the numbers you need to start to know. How much is a property going to be where you want to buy? So you put that number in here. And if you only need 5% down, what does that look like? So for this individual, it'll be 25,000. How much do you already have saved? Are you already part way to that goal? If not, okay, zero. That's fine. Like a lot of younger folks. How much more is required? So you know you need to come up with $25,000. That's $5,000 a year. And let's say you make $50,000, so you know you need to be saving 10% of what you make. So, but what you've done is you now created actually like a month, like every time you get paid, you need to now save 10% in order to hit that goal in 5 years. You've gotten clear on what it's going to take versus I hope to one day buy a house and I just got to get some money saved, right? Very powerful to do this. So we recommend that you run these numbers for yourself to get started. Now, know that there is help for first-time buyers. And I'm going to highlight these programs with you. I'm not going to do an exhaustive study because honestly, it would be really boring for you to learn about this. So I'm going to just sort of glaze over this. And if you're about to buy or you'd like to buy reasonably soon, I do recommend that you're going to do some of your own research on this. Okay. Now, one of them is called the first-time homebuyer tax credit. This is sort of the gist of it right here, but you can get basically money back from the government by using this. Why wouldn't you? Now, if you don't instigate this, the government isn't just going to remember to send you a check on this. But if you use this program, if you're buying a house, we're talking about on kind of an average tax return, you could get like $1,500 kind of credit on your tax. So this is like found money that you didn't find otherwise. And again, it's not like the government's trying to write you that check. So you have to basically make sure you capture it, apply for it. So dig in on that a bit deeper. First-time home buyer plan. So this is a way you can save money and avoid paying tax. All right. Just kind of like a TFSA or RRSP, like it's similar to those. The government will help you basically get to a place or where you can essentially use money in your first-time home buyer plan through this program from your RSP. And so you can see the steps right here. I'm not going to read through all of this, but there's ways to save a lot of money using this through your RSP program that you might already be contributing to. There's another new program, and this just got launched last year, called the tax-free home savings account. And it's where you can basically save money, and again, like where you're not paying tax on it. And like we're talking about thousands of dollars of savings to instigate these programs. Now, again, just research these programs. I'll give you the names again here quick. I will at the end too. First-time homebuyer tax credit, write that down. First-time homebuyer plan, write that down. And then the tax-free home savings account, write that down. Just take 10 or 10 minutes on each, not even, to just read about them. If you search them online, you're going to get lots of resources how to use these. Make sure you tap into those. Really powerful, okay? The next step, and this is a big one, and a lot of, like, there's no reason why you would necessarily know to go to a mortgage broker, but they can be a really good resource to help you get into your house quicker. What mortgage brokers do is they're like a bridge between you and the money, right? To get into that house. So in Canada, it's not like you can only go to the banks. Like, okay, I got to go, I'm CIBC or whatever. I'm TD. I got to go to TD. If they shoot me down, I can't go anywhere else. Not the case. I actually, like when I was bought my first property in my early 20s, my bank shot me down. They're like, no, we're not going to lend you the money, Jay. And so I found a mortgage broker that basically connected me with, like, they're just more creative. They work for commission. They only get paid if you get your mortgage. They're really good brokers. They're not going to put you into a product that isn't in your best interest, right? But they're going to basically help you bridge into into a lender. Sometimes they use the major banks, but there's like 80 other lenders in Canada. There's like First National, there's Home Trust, there's Equitable Bank. These are all really good lenders that you're going to get really good rates with that often we just aren't even aware of. The other thing a broker will do is they'll let you know what you can afford. Okay, so typically they're going to ask you some information, and I'll go through some of what that looks like. And then they're going to say, you can afford this as a max. So they're really good to kind of get you started and get you going when it comes to buying a property. Now, I recommend you screenshot this right now, and you will get, I believe you're getting a recording of this training, but you can screenshot this right now. So if you want to find a good broker, here are questions to make sure you find a great one, right? And you can run your bank through this. So if you're going to go to your bank, go to your bank. That's cool. Like I would for sure. But just know that it's worth talking to at least one broker as well, because they're going to look at it too. You want to get a couple of opinions on that. All right. Now, also know this, and this is key, is that BMO is the official bank of the Canadian Defence community. So you can save lots of money on fees by using BMO. So I would absolutely, when you're looking at this, check out BMO. Maybe check if you're with some other bank, you can check them out, but also you might want to engage a broker. All right. Now, what do lenders look for? Because before you get that money, before they work with the broker and say, yeah, we're going to give so and so, we're going to give Wayne or Margaret or whoever, Mortimer, I'm saying your names right now, Sandy, Joanne, we're going to give them money. They're going to look at some things, and these are the pieces that you want to make sure, like the pieces of the puzzle that you want to have strong to make sure you can get that. Like it's going to be kind of an easy process to get you that mortgage. All right. So you're going to look at credit. And just for the record, your credit score, most of you are a lot, about probably half of you, you know what your credit score is right now. Maybe a bit less, maybe 40% of you. If you don't worry. You're like 60% of people plus that you don't know what your credit score is. You can get your credit score for free online, which is great. But most of us have a good credit score. Some of us don't, and that's okay if you're there. Lots of people start there. But just know that if you have a lower credit score, it is harder to get a mortgage, right? So if you're 720 plus, you're going to get the best possible rates. There's no extra cost essentially for you to get the mortgage. If you're below 720, it can start to affect your rate, right? And if you get below 650, like even 1 or 2% on a kind of an average mortgage is going to cost you a lot of extra money for that same house. So you do want to make sure you have that good credit score to get that good rate, all right? The other thing is they're going to look at these ratios, and I hesitate. Like these sound devastating, and I get it, and I'm sorry I even have to say words like this, like gross debt service and total debt service ratios, but you do need to know about it. And here's the thing. So the lender wants to put you into a place, like when you buy, they want you to be in a really good place, right? So they look at your ability to handle the debt. They want you to, when you get your mortgage statement, where you're maybe not this excited, no one is this excited to get any bill, but where you look like you can handle it. Unlike this, they don't want you to get your statement and be like this, right? And so for them, they're going to run these numbers. Now you can look again. There are tools online. You can run gross debt service ratio and search on Google, and Canada.com or whatever has a calculator. There's all kinds of calculators, and this is how these are calculated. It sounds complicated, but it's not too complicated. They're going to look at if you buy the house, what's your mortgage payment, tax, heat, and divide that by your annual income. If you're 39% or less, that's perfect. You're going to be able to get that financing. The other ratio some of them look at is this other one. I don't know why they have two. It's like they wanted to make it more confusing, but some of them will use both. Some of them will use one, just for the record. And they're going to throw in, it's the same, except they're also going to look at your other debt payments, all right, and run the numbers on that. So you want that to be 44% or less. This is the government of Canada, where you can just run the numbers quick. You can search this, find it online instantly, and run numbers. And you want to be a check mark basically on both of these things here, all right? Just calculate it. It'll calculate really fast for you. Perfect. So, and these are in order for a reason. Like credit is like really important. You got to look at that for sure. Debt, you just won't get the financing if your debt ratios are out of whack. You're just not going to get it. There's nothing a broker can do for you. Like if you got to have them somewhere in alignment, right? They're going to look at income. Now, just so you know, and your employment. So everyone here, have a great employer, okay, which is fantastic. And what lenders like is 2 years of steady employment They love that. They don't like people that are jumping around to different jobs all the time in different under different companies and stuff like that. They also like people that they can keep seeing your consistent income. They love that. All right. If you're a commission person, which almost nobody on here would be, or I don't think anyone on here is, they don't like those people. They don't like business people as much because their incomes are all over the place. They like steady folks. All right, just for the record. So they will ask for some things when you go to a lender. They ask for your what's called an NOA. You get it from the government of Canada when you file tax, and it shows you what you earned. When I was younger, I just threw those directly into the garbage. They hurt me to look at, and I would put them right in the garbage can. Right? Just this, it's funny as you get older, you're like, I better hold on to those, right? Because you're going to actually usually need to show those to the lender. They can also find them without you or with your permission, but you do need, they will be looking at these kinds of things. They even look at your bank statements. They'll want to like your pay statement, your pay stub. They do lots of stuff. Like they dig these folks. That's their job. They want to make sure you are not a fraud case or something like that, basically, right? They look at assets and liabilities. They want to see your down payment. So again, they'll dig in. Like if you have other investments somewhere, they'll look at that. Like they just want to make sure you can come up with a down payment, all that kind of stuff. And then absolutely they look at a property. So you might have this fantastic vision for this property you want to buy that maybe looks like this. This is an extreme example of a fixer-upper. And you might have this glorious concept for how you're going to make this, like you're going to have a koi pond in the back and a hot tub and a brand new porch. It's going to be landscaped, but the bank just sees it like this today, right? So just know that, and they will, like, often they'll have a home inspection. You'll want to do a home inspection before you buy the property, but they'll actually appraise the property often just to make sure it's what it seems like it is. And they just want, again, they like properties like this a lot more than the fixer-upper. But just know that's all part of that process. All right. So a lot there packaged up in step 2, but yeah, let's keep going. So step 3. So again, you got the down payment. You spoke to a broker. They looked at everything. You check mark. You're good. You're like, they told you what you can go buy. Now you're finding the property. Or even like every step we're talking about right now, right? So the best site you can go to in Canada is realtor.ca to find properties. A lot of you know that. They have an app. It's fantastic. Zillow's good. There's some other resources, but realtor.ca, like if I'm on, and I'm just looking around, poking around, I use the app here on my phone, and it's really easy to use, right? Okay, pretty easy. Step 3. Step 4, finalize the mortgage. Now just know that like this is the lender's view. We don't need to be experts in all this stuff, but they look at all these different pieces. So, again, there's going to be lots of documents, but you're already kind of prepped for that before you get that approval. You're going to be providing a lot of it before, and then some more after. But just know you will be checking off all like a few more boxes once you kind of found the house. And we'll talk quickly about this. And I'm sure some of you have questions on this. It's fixed versus variable rate mortgages. So I'll talk about that. So typically it's like people really in Canada really like fixed rate mortgages. And you've been very much validated in the last couple of years. If you got a fixed rate mortgage back in 2020 during COVID for 1.79%, and right now your mortgage would have been 7% if you had gone variable back then, you're very justified. It's funny though, what's interesting, historically, usually people save more money going variable, which just means that the rate will change throughout the term of the mortgage. Now, if you go fixed, it means your payments are going to stay the same. All right. Now, there's kind of pros and cons to both. And like, really big would be, just for the record, if you're going to potentially move before that term comes up in 5 years, you will have to pay a break penalty for your mortgage. That can be really expensive, right? So in that case, you might be better off going variable, right? So this kind of gives you the pros. This gives you the cons right here. I'm not going to read through all of this. You can see it, screenshot it, right? But like right now, the last time I looked, it was like 5.5 on a fixed rate mortgage. Variable's more. It's one of those rare times that's the case. And what people have been doing, because I just had a couple of mortgages come up for renewal. I did 2-year fixed, like there's short term to bridge me over to where the rate should be lower. Rate should start to drop this year. But right now, fixed is where it's at. and I would suggest a shorter term fixed rate. Now, just so you know, your broker will be the expert on this more so than me. They're looking at rates every day, right? All right. Home buying process, step 5, complete the closing process. I'll ask the room. I've been talking a ton, and I'll just get this question. Let me just check. Sorry, I got a couple questions I'm just noticing. Does BMO charge mortgage break fees for fixed? Check it out. I check with BMO on that. Samuel, most likely. Every lender does. Like, doesn't matter which group you would work with. All right. Yeah, but just check it out. And if you're working with a BMO advisor, you just explain like, hey, I might move. So that will factor what they put you into. Like a good brokers will ask all those questions as well. All right.
Jay, my suggestion just a little bit. If you want to go over the question at the very end, we did that the last
Sure.
time. If you want to, I can help you out. Maybe that will be good if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, you got it. So this question for the group, and just answer, you can answer this here in the chat if you want. But if you thinking about it, how much should you budget for closing costs? Does anyone know? Does anyone want to guess? 5 to 8K. Thanks for that, Safi. Anyone else? Any other guesses? 5%? Yeah. Good guess. Good guesses. Appreciate it. I just like for you for a sec to think about it because I just talk too much here during these trainings. Perfect. Okay. So this is what it looks like, and this would be our minimum. And just know, so we say budget in the kind of the general rule in the world is to budget 1.5% of the house purchase cost. All right. Now that's like your absolute minimum. Now, just know this. So, and I didn't know this. Like, I'll use myself as an example, as someone that didn't know any better, right? So, I bought a property. I was young. I've never heard of legal fees before. So, I showed up at the lawyer's office to finish all the paperwork to buy the house, and that's where they were like, "Yeah, we cost whatever it was back then, like $550 or something." I was surprised by that, and I didn't necessarily. I wasn't psyched to pay the $500, of course. But worst of all, I didn't even know I had to, right? So, which is way worse. So just know that there could be these fees. Now, there are these fees. So legal fees, I find I budget for closer to this amount. I find usually it's been 1,500 more recently, depending on the property you're buying. Land transfer tax depends on where you live. I'll explain that in a bit more detail. That home inspection. So you're gonna, if you're buying an older fixer-upper or just a house, you're gonna want a home inspection. If you buy a brand new or a newer condo, maybe you don't need one. Appraisal, sometimes the bank will pay for that, but that costs money. All this stuff. Also, property tax. So as a homeowner, you're going to pay property tax each year. And if the existing owners paid some of it, you got to pay them back. So there's some surprise moving costs, new home GST, HST. So you're going to want to know what this looks like for you, but just know that they're there. And again, if you have the money aside, at least 1.5%, it's going to help you with this. So whole land transfer tax on a $500,000 property depends on the province you live in. So some provinces like BC, there's a rebate, so you can actually get all the money back. Other provinces like Manitoba, you actually just have to pay that tax, and it doesn't matter if you're a first-time buyer or not, right? Just for the record. So again, just know this. You don't need to be an expert on all the stuff I just covered there quickly with you. Just know this stuff and know that like overall, you have to have money aside at least 1.5% before you like ready for when you close. Okay. The next thing here is the home is yours. You're getting the keys. Fantastic. And that's really it for the core training. Now I'm going to just review a couple of things with you, and we'll open it up to more questions and try to answer them all. So Enriched provides through SISIP fantastic tools for you to use. And there's this tool where you can actually look at all your expenses before you buy a property. It's for those of you that are rental property investors, and there's one or two or a handful of you that are. We built this tool that you would typically need to spend $2,000 to get a tool like this. You just get because of SISIP, which is really cool. They've made it so you all just get this. So I'm going to show you where you can download that and some other tools and get more from Enriched. Here are some action steps for you though, like just to summarize what we talked about. Okay, so make sure you run your numbers in the rent is like, should you be buying or renting right now, right? So make sure you run your numbers in the rent versus buy calculator. I'll show you where to get that. And does it make sense for you to buy? Really recommend you run that exercise on creating that realistic goal of when you're going to have the down payment saved. All right. Find a fantastic mortgage broker, and certainly BMO, certainly your existing bank if you're somewhere else. And we recommend, like, again, have a broker that's non-affiliated with banks, can sometimes be a good resource as well. Remember to tap into government help when buying your first home. So that's the name of those programs, right, that we talked about. So just dig in deeper, and you can nerd out on those if you're about to do that. It's worth it. 100%. It's found money. And know your total closing cost and monthly carrying cost. This is the stuff you really need to know from this training today. Now, everyone that's watching, you all have access to a really fantastic tool that SISIP has basically, in partnership with Enriched, launched. And it is a to Z fantastic resource. It's like the Netflix for money, and it's full of really good tools and resources. Now, there's a digital course that you can take in here to really help you sharpen up on your finances. To give you a value perspective, so Enriched Academy, if we sold this to you directly, this is a $600 course that you would have to buy. You just get it. Okay, so everyone here can just activate this, and this thing's awesome. We're going to cover in there, like, understanding credit. We just go way deeper. Like, this training today is like just a little bit of the training that you're going to get if you go through this training that we have for you. Okay, in here as well, see this when you're in here, there's all kinds of resources and tools. See this right here, workbooks, calculators, and tools. If you click on that, that's where you're going to find that rent versus buy analyzer. That's where you're going to find that real estate purchase analyzer. This thing's full of tools for you. So just make sure you activate your account. Now, to do that, just scan here on the left. Okay? Now, to book directly with SISIP, if you want more, like, deep one-on-one support and help and assistance and guidance and everything else with your money, check out, like, book with SISIP. Like, use this service. It's a really good service on the right. So again, get the portal activated for sure, get those tools going, and to book one-on-one with SISIP on the right. And they're going to help you, and they're fantastic. They do a really good job. They work with many of your colleagues, thousands of your colleagues across the country. They know you, they get you, they know your challenges and that kind of thing. So there you go. That's it for the training that I had for you. Okay.
Thank you, Jay, for a fantastic presentation. Thank you. Lots of information. I hope everyone can use some part of it. I just want to say that SISIP is part of the community. We are working for you guys, and we're part of that community. I just want to say that we are looking on the whole holistic approach of each individual, not just about the investing side. Maybe someone has a low cash flow or so the first step will be to go to financial counselor, and then the financial counselor set up the budget. If there is money left, maybe that money should be invested, and we're doing our best to advise you the best way to make that investment, to set up the investment or educate you in order to invest. We also offer the insurance, life insurance. So there is also insurance specialist in each SISIP office. So I just want to keep in mind for everyone what we are offering. Jay mentioned there are a couple of accounts to help you save for the down payment. All those accounts, which is priority on first home saving account offered by government from last year, yes, you can open those accounts in our offices. Those are registered accounts. If you're looking for more education, more details, we more than welcome everyone to our office. The first home saving account, which is right now, I would say, on the top of the list of the accounts we are opening, offer lots of benefits to the people who didn't own the house or didn't own the house before or didn't own the house for past 4 years. So you can save on that account each year up to 8,000 because that's the contribution room, up to 40,000 in the whole contribution time, and you have 15 years to buy that house. That account help you to save the money, and when you withdraw the money, you withdraw free from taxes, plus your investment, plus the interest. So it's fantastic account where you can put money, put your capital, and then invest that money. So every SISIP office has financial advisor, which can educate you or help you to open that account. That account is a registered account, so that means it's assigned to your social insurance number. And on the top of that account, you can also open tax-free saving account where you're saving money free from taxes. And when you withdraw, it's free from taxes, and you can top up your withdraw for first home and for your down payment. So we have multiple ways to help you to save that money. Just keep in mind, we are in our SISIP offices, so just set up appointment and just even get educated. I can see there some question in regards of BMO. You see, BMO is a partner of SISIP. I do not have all information about the BMO because I do not know all the services they offer, but the best way will be just simply to call BMO and ask them, or visit any BMO branch. If you just say you are a CAF member, they do have, I know, competitive rates for mortgages, or I think it's free account for checking account. However, I do not have all information for that. So that's really from me. If anyone has a question, I'm happy to answer them.
Awesome. Yeah, and just to put a bit of perspective, because I'm a civilian, right? And to go get help, one-on-one help, like what SISIP will offer you, you just get it. And it's something that CAF members get. Most of the world does not get. Like that one-on-one help. Like if for some of you, you're just like, all right, how am I ever going to save the money to buy a house? Like I'm right now, I'm breaking even. They can help you with that, right? Which is absolutely brilliant, like on modifying cash flow to save the money for the down payment. And they'll give you this one-on-one help. The world does not have access to this. You do. So please make sure you use it, because it would, like for me as a civilian to go out and get this sort of help is like thousands and thousands of dollars that you just get. So yeah, it's awesome. So thank you. Thanks very much for having me on. I think you had another question there as well.
Which SISIP office covers outcome members? Well, the main thing is if you register under that code, which you can see there, so it's showing us your location, and then the, I think, call center can redirect where you are and assign you to correct SISIP office. We offer virtual appointments, we offer in-person appointment, or we offer over the phone appointments. It's just to kind of give access for everyone. Not everyone can access our appointment in person. So yes, is SISIP help hold on, is SISIP? Yes, so we are offering SISIP advice to our serving members and release members and to them families. So yes, we are offering our services also to retire members. What is the next question?
What percentage of gross income and investment property ends up? So I can answer that one if you want,
Yeah, go
Margaret.
ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
So it depends on the type of rental property that you would have, Samuel. But usually, like I find 7.5% of rent is pretty average. Like you'll find usually between 6 and 10%. I have a property manager that I pay $99 per door. So it just means if I have two, like a duplex that has two units on it that I own, they charge me $200 a month, right? In rental for rental for property managers. So yeah, thanks for those questions.
And Ottawa covers outcome members. Thank you, Leanne. Yes, yeah.
Not sure your second question there, Sam. I'm not sure what you're asking there. How much ROI difference does the 20% down payment? Oh, yes, no, I know what you're saying. It makes a lot of difference. So what Sam's asking there, I'm not sure if everyone else can see the questions, but he's just asking like if you do 5% down versus 20% down when you buy a rental property, do you get a better return? The challenge with rental properties, if you don't live there, is you can only get 20% down on the mortgage. Okay, sorry, you have to put 20% down before you get the mortgage. What I did, I lived in my first investment property for a short time, then I moved out. So I was able to get it for 5% down. And the less down payment, the better your return is. It makes a huge difference if you're able to do, if that's realistic for you, right? So it all depends on who you are. Hopefully that answered your question, Sam. To get access to the tools, Quinn, left-hand side, you should still see it. Just scan that with your phone, that left part of the screen, and you'll get your access. Yeah, perfect, Sam. No worries. Any other questions? Awesome. So, hey, Margaret, really nice to connect with you on here.
Fantastic, fantastic. I have to say, lots of resources for everyone, and we all, even myself, I'm happy to listen. Yes, I do own the property, and I use 4 different brokerage to remortgage again. However, there's no harm to use extra education, and have something more. Yeah, again, just to keep in mind for everyone, in our SISIP offices, we do not have brokers, and we do not prepare the mortgage applications. We help you to achieve the goals to save for the down payment. So keep that in mind. We have our resources, we have our tools to help you to achieve those goals.
Thanks, Heather. And a bunch of you were asking if you get a recording. You do get a recording of this presentation. So I know it was a lot fast, just for the record, and so you can watch it and just help it make sense to you. And please just reach out again on the right. SISIP directly can assist you with this stuff too, like some one-on-one support, which a lot of folks need before they're going to do something here with and move forward with a property, right? So thanks again, Margaret, for having us on. Really
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Jay.
Yeah, good to work with you on this. Talk later. See you, everybody.
Good.
Thank you.
Enjoy the day. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.